Dr. Ruthless Yaldabaoth Heimer, Eugenically speaking. Today's news is all about climate change and all the wonderful things we have planned for you. Only have a very limited time to act. We must act now.
But the UK's climate watchdog had a stern warning for the government today. The Climate Change Committee said it's confident that the government would meet its own legally binding targets for cutting emissions by the end of the decade had fallen markedly.
Or the end of the world as we know it. Millions will die.
How dare you!
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Wildfires left and right. Speaking of wildfires, the lovely little wildfire we had in Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii. Well, many people died, but unfortunately it was all due to climate change, of course.
Fools! You've erected a massive concave reflective surface. It will focus the sun's beam in a deadly ray.
First off, I'd like to thank the good people at Tianjin Smelting and Mining and Donuts and Tops.
This is what we're doing, and I'm thankful to have a Starlink from David Crawford, and we're here reporting on what I believe is potentially a smoking gun of sorts. We just don't know what it is, but I'm going to show you the scenario of this car and what's surrounding it and how temperatures could reach this level, creating this amount of melting of aluminum. I'm here with Donovan. He is, I believe, a hero of sorts. Aloha, Donovan. Because he was the one that brought it to my attention that we have these very strange occurrences. We just shot down on the highway. I don't know if it was actually live, but we have it all recorded, so we're going to post it. We're at another one of these locations. So this is well above the burn zone, essentially, in a neighborhood known as Lahaina Luna. I'm going to show you around real quick. We'll burn here, okay? So to me, this is like something out of a space movie. Because you have this small field with some grass that burned, right? You can see where the grass burned. But then you have these two vehicles sitting in here that have melted
it's
aluminum. So Donovan, if you want to just take us through this car real quick and show us, I know you know a few things about cars, you can point out some things that require a very high temperature. By the way, we just talked to the neighbor who was talking to an investigator in Lahaina Town yesterday, and he said the investigator told him the temperatures reached in excess of 3,000 degrees. So tell us what you got, Donovan.
Well, we have about 300 degrees for aluminum, and this
300?
1,300.
1,300, okay, thank you.
1,300, well, 1220, but if you round it up, because it was not only melted, it was liquefied to the point where it became a river of aluminum going down the dirt hill.
So this is the aluminum rim, obviously. There's the tire, what's left of it, the steel threads or steel belts.
And maybe combination gas tank if the gas tank's aluminum.
Okay. So you have liquefied aluminum running down the side of a grass fire.
Even though we didn't cut the brush or we trapped people in from escaping, we sent the children were home alone and all burned up in the fire. What a lovely little bonus as a wonderful sacrifice to Malak. We've had our eyes on that high-priced real estate for some time, and we're going to use that land wonderfully, of course, to honor the dead by constructing a 15-minute city. More about 15-minute cities in the next episode. I think we can all agree that climate change is the #1 pressing issue of our society. Therefore, we must all do our part. We must all sacrifice our own personal needs for the greater good.
They need a 2/3 majority to seize absolute power.
So they form a coalition with the German National People's Party and ban the Communist Party, giving them the majority they need. On March 23rd, they pass the Enabling Act, which makes Parliament obsolete and gives dictatorial power to the Nazi government.
Eating bugs, drinking shit water, and reducing our carbon footprint. We all must be good citizens. We must follow along what the authorities tell us. That's me, of course. Do your part, comply, obey. Now imagine a lovely utopic version of the world where there's no meat eating, no dairy consumption.
On milk, because the feed is very consistent, and if you do a good job, you will produce quite a bit of milk. So, but right now we're over our quota. It's regulated by the government and by the DFO. But the problem is what they don't understand is millions of people look at this milk running away, and it's the end of the month, so I dump 30,000 liters of milk, and it breaks my heart. I will show you. By the way, this year, Canadian milk, it's $7 a liter. When I go for my haircut, people say, wow, $7, Gary, for a little bit of milk. I say, well, you have to go higher up, because we have no say anymore as a dairy farmer on our own farm, because they make us something.
Very little textiles. You can only choose a couple of items per year to wear, of course, to reduce your carbon footprint. 1, 2 socks, a pair of underwear. Oops, that's 2. Only that for you. No privately owned vehicles and limited air travel. Yes, that's what we're planning for you, my friends. Not me, of course. I can do whatever I want because I'm one of the global elite. We're going to be reducing meat consumption, and the last episode we outlined how we are going to do this through human engineering. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. It's already in the works, of course. 0 privately owned vehicles, because living in a 15-minute city means you can walk in any direction in 15 minutes, so you don't need a vehicle. And the only way you're going to be able to travel by air is only a total round trip of 932 miles every 3 years. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? This way you'll be able to adhere to your slave mind programming. Now, the meat eating, of course, is something that you can easily do because we're providing you with some bug protein crickets, of course. That'll be delicious way to enhance your protein intake while reducing your meat consumption. Good cattle farms have low greenhouse emissions. Great cattle farms have 0 emissions, 0 humans. We have 14 American cities that have all joined on the Carbon 40 Cities Climate Leadership Group. And this is all going to be pushing out these policies that I've outlined for you. Would you like to hear which cities they are? Of course you would. Are you ready? We have Austin, a lovely Democrat-controlled city. Boston, too, also controlled by Democrats. And all the other ones, of course, controlled by Democrats. We've got Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, one of my favorites, Miami, New Orleans, New York City, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Portland, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Seattle. So if you're living in any of these, be prepared to comply, do your part, and obey as the slave, the useless eater that you are. So that's it for today. Eugenically speaking, Dr. Ruthless, Yaldabaoth, Heimer, and of course, I'll be eating my share of beef personally, traveling in my privately owned jet, and shopping for Gucci handbags and all the beautiful designer clothes that I love to wear. I won't be complying, but, don't look at me as your role model, because it's not going to do you one bit of good. Ta-ta!